Hi, and welcome back to another Columbus Monthly Market Update. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and today we're doing a deep dive into the November 2022 numbers. In fact, this is actually the last monthly market update of the year, as it's always a month behind when we get the numbers, so we won't get December's until mid-January. So we're going to kind of wrap up the year, kind of talk about the big picture as well, what we saw this year, and kind of where I think December is going to come in at as well. So stay tuned, join us here as we pull up the numbers and jump into it. All right, as you can see here, we got the November 2022 numbers pulled up from the Columbus Board of Realtors. And if you're interested in checking this out yourself, they do produce this on their website, columbusrealtors.com. Just check that out and see for yourself what they do. Just a reminder, this is for the Columbus area, so all the counties in the Columbus region. Here's the counties that it does include. So it's wide snapshot of Columbus, but it gives us a good idea of what's going on here. So the numbers we've been tracking this last few months, and so has the media, definitely been kind of honing in on this number, is the closed sales. And that number's, it's not really that important in my opinion to understand how many sales we've closed. It doesn't really paint the picture on, is it a good time to buy or is it a good time to sell? It just kind of says what, how many people are buying and how many people are selling. So we got to dig a little deeper in these numbers. And I think that's what the media really hasn't been doing the last few months. And so that's what hopefully these videos have been doing for you. If you've been watching and following along, hopefully we dig a little deeper. We actually say, why does that matter? Is this actually affecting my decision? And is it a good time to buy or sell ultimately? So we obviously saw a drastic change in the numbers of closings. We see that 27% came down. The end contracts have also come down. So again, this is just going to show us end contracts are new contracts. They usually close in about 30 days. So next month, we'll probably see again a drastic number of decrease in sales. Not surprising there. The thing that, I've been focusing on still is, especially in the Columbus market, we're still seeing a healthy appreciation rate year over year. Now, it's not until we start seeing year over year price decreases, then will I say that the market is taking a step backwards, or even, you really shouldn't, maybe you should start thinking about not buying right now. But as long as we're still seeing year over year, the market to buy and to sell is still a pretty good market to buy or sell in this market. Median sale price is, again, just kind of another way of tracking that median price or the average price point there. So we're, you can say 7 to 7.5%, appreciation rate this last year, depending on what statistics you're looking at. It's still pretty good. The national average is around 5%. So we're still above the average appreciation rate year over year. And in fact, we had such a hardy spring that if you look at year to date, if you average the number out, we're still at 11%. So this is comparing November to November of last year. This is comparing, year to date, and we're at over 10% appreciation if you take the averages throughout the months. Now, the spring and the summer were spiking and elevated. We had a pretty big, what I would consider a correction. Honestly, I've heard a lot of terms of what we're calling what's going on in the market right now. There is a little bit of a correction over the crazy and spikes in the last few years, but we're not seeing year over year depreciation. We're seeing a correction in the rate of growth of the market, which is a healthy thing for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is, if you're looking to buy a house, you don't have to, the rate of saving, the rate of inflation and appreciation of the house doesn't overtake the rate of saving that you are trying to save up to buy that house. And you can actually get ahead a little bit and be able to purchase a house compared to the 20 to 15% appreciation rates that we saw the last few years. So with that said, the numbers that we really want to focus on is, the inventory. When you're thinking about, is now a good time to buy, is not, we have seen an inventory come up, inventory creep up here. 44% seems like a spike, but when you start at 0.9% compared to last year up to 1.3, that's, even a 50%, inventory increase would not really throw enough houses on the market to keep up with the demand that's happening in Columbus. So we still have a really healthy demand compared to supply. this 1.3 represents that if no new houses hit the market in the next month, it would take about a month and a week for all those homes to be gone off the market based on the demand. That's what that number represents, which is not a very long time. A healthy market, or not healthy, I don't know if there ever is such thing as a healthy market, but a balanced market, neither a buyer nor a seller's market, they say takes about 6 months. They want 6 months of inventory, and it takes about 6 months to sell your house. And you have 6 months of inventory that if no new houses hit the market, it would take 6 months for those houses to be gone. But again, if you've been watching my previous videos, if you look at these numbers compared to 2019, we actually see very, very similar numbers. In fact, the market today compared to 2019, I think this is it here, 2019, is still more competitive for many reasons. So I want to look at 3 numbers that we've been focusing on here: is days on market, inventory of homes, and the supply of homes. So the days on market is 33, and in this past November 2022, we saw 24. So still houses are still selling faster than 2019. We saw 4,700 homes sell in 2019. We had 3,400 homes sell in 2022. So over 1,000, 1,200 more homes sold in 2019, and we have 1.7 supply of inventory. And I wonder if, we have such short memories that 2019, the whole story in 18 as well, the whole story was inventory supply, or inventory shortage. And then we forget because 2020 happened and so much chaos happened and so many homes sold that, even though we had an inventory shortage, people were still having record sales. It's just this inventory was just coming and going so fast. And it's really happened in 2019. It just got exacerbated in 2020 and 2021. So even in 2019, even though the narrative was inventory shortage, there was inventory out there. It just was going fast. The good homes were selling fast. The homes that were priced well were selling fast, just like they are today. And in fact, that's the same thing we're seeing today, actually even more competitive than we saw in 2019. So if I were, a lot of buyers are like hesitant right now, or sorry, a lot of sellers, sorry, buyers, but a lot of sellers are hesitant right now, thinking like, it's not a good time to sell. It's not a good time to sell. There's still not enough houses out there for the number of buyers. And I talk to buyers every day, and what they're saying is the good houses just aren't out there right now. And they're not priced right. Not that they're too high, they're just not priced right to sell. And people are still, if you price your house right and you have a good house, it'll sell quick in this market. But anyways, going back to 2022, so we're seeing those numbers. We're still seeing, well below the numbers we saw in 19 to kind of keep up with the inventory. And, obviously the population has grown since 2019 as well. So those are things that we want to see. New listings, were only 2,000 new listings. And so we had about the same number of new listings in 2019, a little less than we saw, about 100 less. So we're still not seeing a flood of homes on the market. We're not going to see that inventory peak up. So the 2 things that we want to focus on when it comes to supply and demand are, buyer sentiment and inventory. And this inventory is not creeping up. Now, the interest rates has definitely taken a lot of buyers off the market. I will say it, but we had way too many buyers on the market the last 2 years with super low interest rates. So there's still a healthy number of buyers out there for this market. In fact, to keep this market a very healthy seller's market, there's plenty of buyers out there right now. So hopefully this is helpful. Again, one thing I want to just reiterate is that if you bought a house in beginning of this year, in January of 2020, you are sitting, on average of $25,000. If you see here, if you bought a house in January of 2022, this is the January numbers, average price point was $290. Today, or November, so last month, the average price point was about $319. So roughly $25,000 this year. And, if you would have told somebody that, 5-10 years ago, they would have been ecstatic about that. So that's where I would say this market, if you're looking to buy, this market's not it's not a drastic, risky, that risky of a market, in my opinion, to buy a house. Obviously I'm biased as a real estate agent. But one thing else I want to point out is, this time of year, as we get into the winter market here, there's a little bit of an opportunity. I want to scroll down to this graph here that we see that the Columbus board just tracks the trends every month. And you can see this is nothing new that we're seeing right now as we see the drop in the winter. We see drop all winter, all fall. So this is summer, spike in 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 summer, drop and fall, drop and fall. January, all of a sudden something happens in January where people make goals to buy a house. Not only are the goals to buy a house, their leases are up, and they start to have time to focus on buying houses, and they start to figure out how to do that. And all of a sudden the market just becomes, before you know it, we're in the spring market and there's competition and prices are increasing quite a bit, very drastically this time of year. So what I tell people, we're in December here. This next month is actually the prime. If you look at one point in the year, the best time of year to buy a house, January is it. January is the best time to buy a house financially. Now there may not be as many options, so that's another factor. But financially, there's no question. If you want to look at the data and not try to play the game of, is the market going to crash? Look at what we have. Look at the history that we have to show January is a great time to buy a house. If you can manage to find one and bear the cold and all that fun stuff takes to move in the winter. Thank you for tuning in to this month's edition of the Columbus Monthly Market Update. Again, I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty. And if you have any questions or would like to go over this personally, I'm always happy to have individual conversation with you and to help you understand how this affects you. Keep in mind, real estate is never just about the numbers or the data. That there's always personal information that needs to be plugged into this to say, is this the right time for you to sell or buy your house? So happy to have those conversations with you. In the meantime, hope to see you next year.